And you're very welcome back to the National Aquatic Centre here in Dublin, looking resplendent for this final day of competition at the Irish Summer National Championships. Been a busy programme, busy week, 2 more sessions to go. John Kenny with you, and former Irish Olympian Nicholas Quinn is with me as well. So we're concentrating on girls and boys, and in these next sessions we've got the girls 13 to 14, 400 metres individual medley. We got 3 heats of these. These will be heat declared winners, as well as the boys 200 metres individual medley, and we've got 5 heats of those. Then we'll wrap it up with the 13 to 14 girls and boys 800 metres freestyle, at which we will have 2 heats as well. So it's unusual, really, isn't it, Nick, that we just actually have a session in the middle. It's usually heats in the morning, finals in the evening, but such is the demand for underage and age group swimmers that we've actually have this extra session during the week.
Yeah, it is. It just shows that, as you said, the demand there for swims here. So these 13 and 14-year-olds, boys and girls, are swimming in this afternoon session, but they have just as much of an opportunity to qualify for finals this evening. So there will be finals for these 13 and 14-year-olds, so they'll be competing against each other to be in the top 10 and get back for a final swim, where they will get to swim alongside the older swimmers across all of the age groups this evening.
Yeah, 1 final each in the age groups in 100, 200 and 400 events. So these will move on to finals this evening, and the 50 freestyle. The 800 and 1500 metre events, time finals and swum in heat sessions. Medals will be presented in each age category. The 50 back, 50 breast, 50 fly are 15 and over only, and we'll have 1 final as well. We saw the 50 fly heats this morning. So we're getting ready then for the first of our afternoon sessions. 3 heats of the girls 13 to 14, 400 metres freestyle individual medley, where all 4 strokes are concerned. We've got 3 in the first prelim. Then we're using lanes 0 to 8 for the second prelim, and then 0 to 9. And we get progressively quicker as we go through. These are the slowest 3 swimmers on entry times for this first heat. Nice shot there of the 3 swimmers in this opening heat of the 400 IM. And it's the butterfly first for these 3. It's Erin Fitzpatrick in 3 from Lisburn, the 13-year-old, all 13s. Czech Republic, Evelina Frankova in 4. Eva Moroni of Dolphin in lane 3. Object of the exercise, try and get out of the heat to make the final, but these are the slowest of the swimmers in this particular discipline. It's going in heat 1. This is all based, of course, on entry time.
Yeah, this is based on entry time. So these are the slowest 3 swimmers on paper. They're all 13 years of age, so they'll be battling out with each other and the other 13-year-olds who are going to come in heat 2 or 3 of this to be in the top 10 and get a chance to swim this again. This grueling 400 IM, the lucky chance of getting to swim that twice in one day.
Lead can change as the race progresses in this, because obviously they got the 4 disciplines, starting with the fly. Move on to backstroke and then breaststroke and freestyle to wrap it up.
We saw that this morning in the 400 IM, especially in age group meets. You really do see the different strengths of the swimmers come through. So whether that's the back crawl, or a lot of the time the breaststroke can be a real strong strength for some athletes and a weakness for others, and the lead can change hands very quickly and very easily on these middle 200s. This is the real key parts of a 400 IM or a 200 IM, is the back roll and breaststroke legs, and then whatever you have left on the freestyle.
It's really just beginning their careers if they're going to continue on. 13 years of age, all these three. And Fitzpatrick from Lisburn has the early lead, 128.4 at the 100 before they turned onto backstroke. Frankova, the Czech Republic, and then Moroney of Dolphin.
At 150 there, it is Fitzpatrick, turned in 2:12.92. That's a 44.46 split. So she is out-splitting both of the other girls on this backstroke leg. So she's extending her lead out to maybe 4 meters at this stage. But that can change very quickly depending on how each of these swimmers' breaststrokes are.
Yeah, breaststroke really is the key in IM swimming. Good style, steady head, taking a point in the ceiling above her, and just above her now is the 5 meters to go mark, so the flags indicate that. You can just see them above her head there now. She'll know she's got to turn now, and onto the breaststroke leg for Erin Fitzpatrick in a time of 2:58.49. Moroney in second, Frankova third.
It'll be interesting now to see if these two girls in lane 4 and 5, Frankova and Moroney from Czech Republic and Dolphins respectively, whether they can catch the Lisburn swimmer Fitzpatrick. It looks like Frankova is closing this lead down a little bit on the first 50. You can see there on the screen, each stroke she's gaining a little bit of ground. She's driving into a nice streamlined position and has basically taken over this lead on the first 50 of this breaststroke. This is where you can see how important that breaststroke leg is in a 400 IM. And we really saw that at the World Championships a couple of weeks ago, where Leon Marchand, the young French swimmer, had a powerful breaststroke split, one of the fastest breaststroke splits that we've ever seen in a 400 IM. It was faster than Phelps's world record breaststroke split, and he completely dominated the race on that breaststroke split alone, ended up being the champion. So that breaststroke is so important of this 400 IM race.
Such a technical stroke, breaststroke, as well. So if your technique is good, generally you can eat up the water and swim down, take down leaders after the backstroke leg. So they're coming up now with 100 to go, so they'll turn to freestyle. This is a very good breaststroke leg from Frankova of the Czech Republic. 100 to go, she won't be caught. These are the slower of the seated swimmers. Just keeping an eye on our time, 4:41.13.
Both of those swimmers, Frankova and Moroney, were behind Fitzpatrick at the 200 meter mark, but they both had strong breaststroke splits, and now Frankova has opened up about a 20 meter lead ahead of Fitzpatrick, who was leading after the back row leg. So I guess that's as clear a picture of how important that breaststroke leg is in this first heat of the afternoon session.
$50 meters to swim. This will be an easy victory for Evelina Frankova of the Czech Republic. Erin Fitzpatrick led at the halfway mark. Breaststroke leg, obviously not her strongest. We're past on that leg, and now the freestyle bringing home Frankova in this first heat of 3. Fitzpatrick's just closed the gap a little bit on the freestyle leg, but won't have enough to get to the fastest on entry time. 6:12.14 is her entry time. Yeah, she's just under 6 minutes. Good swim, that. If your entry time is 6:12.14, she's gone under 6 minutes for the first time. She'll be delighted with that.
And that's a really strong swim from Moroney as well, from Dolphins. Both of those swimmers taking 12, 13 seconds, 14 seconds off their entry time. So really impressive swimming from both of those girls. and really just shown how important that breaststroke leg is of this 400 IM.
Just keep things moving along. Those swimmers will be asked to stay in the water as we move on to heat 2 of 3 for the girls 13 to 14, 400 meters individual medley. There's your lineup then for the second heat. Top 10 qualify for the final later on today. Away they go then for this second heat. Chloe Donnay of Swam Leisure. The 13-year-old is in 0. O'Loughlin Brophy, Maya O'Loughlin Brophy of Cool Mines in 1. Alicia Dempsey of Lurgan is in 2. Sharp Swimming Club represented by Niamh Connery. She's in 3. Lucy O'Brien of Limerick is in lane number 4. Eva Hand of Ards is in 5. Sophia Glynn is in 6 from Glenalbin. Hamilton Aquatics Dubai represented by Shady Llewellyn. There is a swimmer in lane number 7 for Dubai, and then it's Michaela Malkova of the Czech Republic in lane 8. Mostly 13 and 14-year-olds in this second heat. On the butterfly, and so far it's a good start for Lucy O'Brien from Limerick.
Yeah, great start from Lucy O'Brien. We've seen her earlier in this competition swimming fly and breaststroke events, so she clearly prefers the power events, but she's turning about 5 meters ahead of Eva Hand from Ards at the 100 meter mark in 1:11.92.
Well, you contrast then to the opening heat. Turn to the 100 in a 1:28.4. Well, that's considerably faster, 17 seconds faster, 1:11.92. That's a good start from O'Brien. Onto the backstroke leg, and as we mentioned, the 400 IM can change radically throughout the race, especially on the breaststroke leg, but a good start and a good butterfly leg from O'Brien.
A very good butterfly leg for sure, and she seems to even be extending her lead on this backstroke leg. Let's see, her split here is 1:53.05, and that's a 41.1 backroll split, so she'll be looking to replicate that 41.1 on this second 50 of the backroll leg. We've also seen her in the breaststroke, swimming really well in the breaststroke events at this competition, so expect her to have a strong breaststroke. As will Niamh Connery in lane 3 from Sharks, but she has a big lead now. Does the swimmer in lane 4, Lucy O'Brien, as she comes to the halfway point of this 400 IM.
Again, much faster than heat 1. 2:34.23 for O'Brien. Contrast that to 2:58.49. We're in the seeded heats now. There's only 3 of them, but O'Brien has started really well. Now, let's keep an eye on our breaststroke. This is your particular discipline. Nicholas Quinn, former Olympian. You're a breaststroker. What do you think to her technique?
Yeah, she's driving nicely into that streamline position. You can see that every time she's tilting her head down into the streamline. I'd like to see her keep her head in that streamline position a little bit longer. She's lifting slightly as she's breaking her hands, but it's a pretty solid breaststroke technique, and it looks like she's extending her lead on the first 50 here of this breaststroke leg as a 46.5 split. So I'm going to keep an eye on that and see what she splits in this second 50 as well.
Yeah, it's a nice overhead shot there. Watching the arms pull through underneath the body rather than coming out to the side, and the legs kicking wide as well. It's a very, very technical stroke. It's good symmetry, that. And she's keeping this lead as well. It's a good swim from O'Brien.
Yeah, she's really dominated this race from the start to finish, and having a really strong breaststroke leg here as well. I don't think anyone is going to catch her on this freestyle leg, but she is pulling away from the rest of this field. This second 50 breaststroke split was a 47.0, so that's right on what she did in the first 50, which is good splitting in the middle of a 400 IM.
Again, if you want to contrast with the opening heat, 441 at the 300, she's way ahead of that, 407.75, the 13-year-old from Limerick. And she's got to cruise home and take victory by a considerable length of distance. Niamh Connery in lane 3 is in second currently, and Eva Hand of Ards in lane 5 is in third.
Yeah, Niamh Connery there came through really well on that breaststroke leg. She was behind on the back roll, but she had a really powerful breaststroke leg to bring her into second place in this heat. But it's all about Lucy O'Brien in lane 4 from Limerick. She's led the race. She had a strong flight to start off with, a really solid back roll, pulled away from the field in the breaststroke, and seems to even be extended now as we come into the last 20 metres to go.
O'Brien's entry time 5 minutes 35.22. She's going to obliterate that. 5 to go. Good swim. 5:25.26.
That's a good 10 seconds improvement on her entry time, which heat of a 400 IM is definitely very good. Really strong finish there in lane 7 from Hamilton Aquatics, Sadie Llewellyn, 5:37, which is also well under her entry time of 5:54. So really strong swimming from both of those girls there.
Just looking at some of the entry times in the next and the final heat. 5:22 should get her to a final. Georgina Walker in the next heat is the fastest on entry time, and it's a 5:30. Although they've been swimming, they've been going well under their personal best times and entry times. So 5:25.26 should be good enough for a final. A good swim from Lucy O'Brien.
Yeah, and Lucy's actually a 13-year-old, so she's the younger of these two categories. So you have to think she'll be right up there this evening in that final, and looking to see if she can improve again on that.
And there's the lineup then for this final heat. Heat 3 of 3, 400 medley for females aged 13 to 14. Again, the previous heat stay in the water while we get things underway. Swimmer in lane 1, diminutive Samantha Burns-Aiken. Tiny swimmer. Let's give you the lineup though. Orna Higgins in 0. Alongside her is Burns-Atkin. Higgins from Dolphin. Burns-Atkin from Banbridge. Then Lexi Dunn of Dolphin. Portmarnock represented by Sarah Keane. And Banbridge, Georgina Walker. Emily Edgar from Lisburn is in 5. Lurgan's 13-year-old Leah Jacobs in 6. Shauna Murphy in 7. She's from Dolphin. Glenalbyn have Emily O'Dwyer in 8. And the Swan Leisure Swimming Club have Amy O'Neill, the 13-year-old, in 9. It's the last heat.
Lexi Dunn, we've seen a lot of her racing throughout the course of this Irish Summer Championships, and she looks like she's the early leader here, having a really strong fly leg in lane 2, the Dolphin swimmer. And it is probably Georgina Walker from Banbridge in lane 4 who's her biggest challenger as they approach the 100-metre mark.
Punishing stroke, the butterfly. 1:14. There you go. 1:14 compares to 1:11.92. Lucy O'Brien was quickest through in the previous heat. That's a 1:14.03. That shows you just how good that swim from O'Brien was in the previous heat, especially on that first leg.
Sarah Keane from Portmarnock looks like she's really eaten into the lead that those two girls on either side of her had established on that fly leg. She's got a really, really nice technical back roll there. Nice rate, nice tempo, really still head and a good solid kick driving her through the field here as they approach 150.
As they come down towards the halfway mark, again we're just keeping an eye on the previous heat. Lucy O'Brien was leading at the halfway mark in 2 minutes 24.23. They came through the first, the butterfly leg. They're about 2.5 seconds slower than the penultimate heat. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of time she can post here in lane 4. Georgina Walker of Banbridge, the 13-year-old, 5 to swim in this backstroke leg of the 400 IM. 2:37. Again, that's outside Lucy O'Brien's time of 2:24.23. And this time from O'Brien is looking increasingly good as we go through this final heat.
Georgina Walker's got a really nice streamlined position here on this breaststroke. She's holding that glide quite a long time on each stroke, which in a 400 IM is really good. It means she's conserving that little bit of energy on this leg and might have a little bit extra to push on the freestyle. But Lexi Dunn is really making a move here. We've already seen her earlier in the breaststroke event, so she's clearly enjoys breaststroke and she's technically quite proficient as well. So she's making a move on this leg, but it is Georgina Walker who's going to touch first at the 250 metre mark.
It's a good leg from Dunn. Both her and the leader coming up high out of the water and just driving through with the arms. Sarah Keane a little flatter across the water and a wider stroke you can see there in the yellow cap. It's the final heat then of the girls 13 to 14 400 metres individual medley. Fastest time so far we've seen. Previous heat 5:25.26 for Lucy O'Brien. There'll be 100 metres to swim at the end of this leg, and it's the freestyle they're moving on to. And the previous heat saw a time of 4:07, so the 4:15.3. They're going to have to go some here.
Georgina Walker again, she had a nice technical breaststroke. She looks like she's got a nice freestyle as well. Nice high elbow on the recovery, getting into a nice catch position. That nice high elbow means she's just connecting with the water, stretching out in front and using that kick to drive her along. She looks in control of this race as she approaches the final turn.
Keane threw in a 36 there for this first 50 of the freestyle. So she just moved closer to Lexi Dunn, but they're not going to catch Walker.
A really impressive freestyle leg from Walker in lane 4. She had a really strong back half to that race, a really good breaststroke and a really good freestyle, finishing at 36.4 for an overall time of 5:29.65, which is slightly slower than Lucy O'Brien in the previous heat, but a strong swim from Georgina Walker under her entry time of 5:30.36. So good heat swim for Georgina, and she'll be looking to get a second swim and will get a second swim this evening.
Yeah, O'Brien's the fastest qualifier from that previous heat in that 4:25, but 5:25, but a 5:29 there's 6 for Georgina Walker, and I think she's got a little bit more in the tank as well. Oh, that hurts. It's going to hurt. It's all 4 disciplines, and it really does hurt.
Yeah, you can see Georgina there has got a bit of a red face. She's breathing hard, but you'd expect nothing less after a 400 IM. You can't afford to have any real weak events if you're going to be up there looking for medals in a 400 IM.
Well, we got 5 heats now of the boys 13 to 14 200 metres individual medley. Unlike the 400, we're going to change the discipline at the 50 mark. 4 swimmers in the first heat. There you go, that's the lineup. We do have a couple of 800s to come as well. Bring your girls 13 to 14, 2 heats of that. And also 2 heats of the boys, 13 to 14, 800 freestyle to wrap up the mid-session. Before 5 o'clock this evening, we'll wrap up the full session on this, the final day of competition at the NAC. Well, I did say there was going to be 4 in this. There's actually 3. We've scratched lane 4. So, just the 3 in this opening boys 200-metre individual medley with Joshua Newman of Bangor in 3. Sunday as well in Cork have Liam O'Driscoll in 5. And in Limerick have Sean Carrick in 6. They start with the fly.
Liam O'Driscoll looks like he's taking this out quite hard on the first 50. And he's turning a 33.69, the swimmer from Sunday's Well Swimming Club. You see the big difference here between the 200 and the 400 IM. All of these swimmers swimming with a much higher tempo, much higher rate than the girls in the 400 in the previous couple of heats. This 200 IM is a tough event because it basically is 450 sprint back to back.
O'Driscoll leads them, 5 to go. And on the backstroke leg, you get a contrast in times all the way through these. So he's turning at a 1:15.39. Newman in second, Carrigan third, onto breaststroke.
Watch out, the swimmer Joshua Newman from Bangor. Looks like he's closing this gap on Liam O'Driscoll on this breaststroke. You can see he's surging with each stroke, and he's making up a little bit of ground every time he takes a stroke on the swimmer from Sunday's Wells.
It's the one thing as well about breaststroke, you know it yourself, Nick, being a former Olympian and a breaststroker as well, that it's important to keep the stroke long. As then you start shortening a stroke, you start spinning in the water, as they say, and you start to lose momentum.
Yeah, definitely. It's always the worry. Breaststrokes that kind of like that. It's one of those strokes that actually trying harder doesn't necessarily make you go faster. You need to hold on to that efficiency, hold on to that streamline at the front of your stroke, and trust your technique.
Fastest entry time was the swimmer in lane 5, Liam O'Driscoll, of 2 minutes 47.15. O'Driscoll has the lead too, coming up to 5 metres to swim, looking to go under that time. It's going to be close to that, in fact well under it now, 2:42.74, winning time for Liam O'Driscoll. Newman in second place. That's a good split, 36.42. Sean Carrigan third place. That sets the mark for the rest. On to heat 2 we go. There's your lineup. Tiger O'Brien from Dolphin in lane 0. These are all 13-year-old swimmers. Dylan Brady in 1 from Drogheda. Glenn Albans, Dara Finlayson in number 2. Cameron Jackson of Coolmine is in lane 3. Another Cameron Haddo of Hamilton Aquatics in Dubai, one of the visiting clubs here. Jan Boersma is in lane number 5. Thomas Bugler of Sunday's Well is in 6. Conor Carroll in 7. Kilkenny Tala Swimming Club have got Jason Gia, and then Matthew O'Grady is in 9 from Sligo.
And there's the swimmer from Coolmine in lane 2, Dara Finlayson, who's the early leader, who's strong to that fly leg, but the rest of these swimmers are pegging him back now on this back roll. Coolmine swimmer Cameron Jackson is having a really strong back roll leg, as is the Leander swimmer Jan Boersma in lane 5.
The previous heat 1:15 at the 100 mark. They're quicker, 1:12.73. Jackson leads Boersma, Finlayson. On to breaststroke they go. Object of the exercise. Post the fastest time and get out of your heat into the final later on. This is heat 2 of 5.
This is a tight heat. There's 5 swimmers in a line here, all competing to win this heat. And as you said, John, all of these are 13-year-olds, so they're all trying to beat each other to get a place in the final later this evening. So this is setting up to be a really good finish on this freestyle leg.
They'll be under 2 minutes at the 150. It was 2:05 in the previous heat, so heats are seeded and they get quicker. Boersma's taking the lead now, but it's pretty close. 3 swimmers in contention down the last freestyle leg with 25 to go.
Yeah, the Glenalbin swimmer Dara Finlayson is working hard, but it is Boersma from Leander who is just about having the lead at this stage. And it is Boersma coming into the last 5 meters, getting his head down, not taking a breath, which is good to see. The Leander swimmer finishes in 2:34.64, which is well under his entry time of a 2:40.99. So strong swimming from Boersma, ahead of Thomas Bugler in lane 6 and Dara Finlayson in lane 2. All of those swimmers sub 2:40, there was no one entered on sub 40, and we had 4 swimmers go sub 2:40 in that swim. So strong swimming across the board in heat 2 of that 200 IM.
And you contrast to the opening heat, 2:42 won it. That one was won in a 2:34, so 8 seconds and a bit quicker. But we will get quicker as we get to the seeded heats. And this is heat 3 of 5. Scott Duda and the boys 13 to 14, 200 metres individual medley leads them away from 0. He's from Longford. New Ross Cahill O'Brien is in 1. Longford's Ashley Weafer in 2. Breaker Swim Club represented by Tig Smith in 3. Zion Salah of Dubai is in 4. Ben Bickerstaff of Lisburn is in 5. Killian Kavanagh, Erlingus in 6. Conor Corbett in 7 from Wexford. Laois Marlin Swimming Club have got Ignat Subakov. And then in lane number 9, it's Aaron Kasky from Larne.
And it is Ben Bickerstaff, the Lisburn City Swimming Club, who has the lead with 15 to go on this backstroke leg. He has about a body length up on lane 6. Killian Kavanagh from Aer Lingus. But let's see how this breaststroke leg plays out.
Again, as we're getting quicker through the heats, it shows you 100 mark for the previous heat was a 1:12. That was a 1:06.5. These are much, much quicker now than the previous 2 heats.
And it is the swimmer in lane 4, Zayn Salah, who is really moving through this field on this breaststroke leg. He's got a nice drive into that streamlined position, and he is eating up the ground that Ben Bickerstaff had, that lead that Ben Bickerstaff had built up over the first 100 metres. And they're going to touch very close now at this 150 metre mark and set it up for a really good last race on this freestyle leg.
Yeah, 4 seconds quicker than the previous heat with a 50 to go. Salah and Bickerstaff, they'll be able to see each other now down this last 50 metres of this, the 3rd heat of 5. One breathing to his left, the other to his right, keeping an eye on each other. It's a good race, this. Lane 4 just got the slight lead. Salah from Dubai, he's going to take the win here. 2:26. And that is a lot faster than the previous heat, which was a 2:34 winning time. 2:26.60, just held off Bickerstaff. Ashley Weaver in third.
That was a great race there between Bickerstaff and Salah. It was the breaststroke leg that made a big difference for Salah there. He really caught up, made up that ground and set up a really fast finish between the two swimmers. Both of them went to that 6-speed kick and were really working hard on that last 50, but it was the Hamilton Aquatic swimmer who got the touch.
2 more to go. Matthew Rice is in 0. Andrew Mullen in lane number 1 from Temple Oak. Rice is from Banbridge. Luke Merrigan in 2 from Dolphin. Phelim Hanley from Blackrock is in lane 3. Then Ryan Griffin, Cookstown in 4. Ben Wilson Ards is in 5. Hubert Petlani of Ealing Swimming Club is in 6. Matthias Pickett of Ards in 7. Killian Murphy in 8 from Temple Oak. And then Killian Hall in lane 9 from Lisburn.
It is the swimmer from Ards, Ben Wilson, who has the lead with 25 metres to go on this backstroke leg. He has the lead over lane 6. Another Ards swimmer, Matthias Pickett. So the 2 Ards swimmers are out in front as they approach the halfway mark of this 200 IM.
Previous heat, the halfway mark was a 106.52. They're outside that. Ryan Griffin on a 107. Breaststroke leg.
Cookstown swimmer Ryan Griffin looks good at this stage, but Phelim Handy from Blackrock is making up ground on him on each stroke. He's just gradually eating away at that lead, but it still looks like it's going to be Griffin at the 150 metre mark.
Yeah, for every stroke that Ryan Griffin was taking, Ben Wilson was taking 2. That's how he closed the gap. He's got about a body length to make up now in the last 50 metres of this, the penultimate heat of the 200 IM for boys aged 13 to 14. He's getting near to the lane rope, our leader. He should have enough in hand. He's about 3/4 of a body length ahead. Charging through in lane 1 is Andrew Mullen from Temple Oak as well, getting involved in the picture, but lane 4 is going to take the victory here in 2:27.45. Phelim Hanley in second place. A good swim from Andrew Mullen in the end. Look at that, 32.6 last 50 split from Mullen.
That's a very fast last 50 split from Andrew Mullen there to really come through the field on the freestyle leg to finish in a 2:28.70, which is well inside his entry time of a 2:35.77. So really strong swim from Andrew Mullen in lane 1 there, but it was Ryan Griffin who took that heat win from Cookstown.
Previous heat, Zain Salah of Dubai in a 2:26.6. That winning time 2:27.4. So about 3/4 of a second between them. Last heat then, Ian Middleton of Glenalbyn in 0. David Scarangella of Portmarnock is in lane number 1. Gary Hanrahan of Clonmel in 2. George Pearson is in lane number 3. Then it's Hussein Shawkey of Dubai. Leopold Furnells of the Apex Sport Academy. Paddy Cudahy of Kilkenny in 6. Enniskillen Lakelanders represented by Jamie Lannon in lane number 7. Tim Kostadinov of Limerick is in lane number 8, and then Cody Lau of Ballymena is in 9. This is the final heat, the fastest time so far, a 2:26.6. That came in heat 3.
And Hussein Shawkey, we've seen him in almost every event right across the strokes throughout this competition, has opened up a massive lead at the halfway stage. He's turning in a 1:03.47. over 6 seconds faster than the next, or almost 6 seconds faster than the next swimmer in this race. So he is really putting the foot down in this heat, trying to put a solid time on the board.
We could have two international swimmers or foreign swimmers in finals later on today. There's no doubt about it that Sjoki's going to be in the final, and they get representative medals. It's the Irish swimmers that get the Summer National Championship titles.
Ian Middleton in lane 0 is having a strong breaststroke leg there. He's just moving through the field in lane 0 below us, and he's turning very close to Fornials in lane 5, so it's a good race between those two, but it is all about Hussein Shawki here, who's powering away from the rest of the field on this freestyle leg. Look at that kick, a really good strong 6-speed kick at the back, driving his stroke forward.
High elbow lift, getting the arm into the water very quickly. You can see that there, and he just powers into the wall. That's a good finish too. 2:21.01, fastest by a long way, and fastest qualifier into this evening's final.
And a really strong back half to the race. We mentioned Ian Middleton on the breaststroke leg there. He had a strong freestyle as well. Ended up just touching out Leopold Fornales in lane 5 for second place in that heat in the 2:28.39 versus Forniel's 2:28.93. So really strong swimmer from the Glenalbin boy in lane 0.
They asked the swimmers to leave the pool at the end of an event, so the boys are heading out, making way now for the girls. 13 to 14, 800 metres freestyle, 16 lengths of the pool. We've got 2 heats to come, 8 swimmers in heat 2, just the 3 in this one, the first heat of 2. Lane 3, Cueva Smith of Tala, just up the road. All the way from Limerick is Sorkin Irene, she's at 4. And it's lane 5, Molly Hennessy Murphy from New Ross. You would think on entry times there should be a breeze, this one, for Sorkin Irene, the 13-year-old from Limerick.
Really impressed there off the start. I know it's an 800, it's a long race, but New Ross swimmer Molly Hennessy Murphy almost used the full 15 metres off the wall. And you can see there she's using 2 or 3 fly kicks there underwater off the turn. An 800 is a long race, so she can keep that up throughout this 800. That's really good technical skills and impressive on the first 75 metres of this 800 for the 14-year-old from New Ross.
Just check the splits now on the 100. 111.69. First 100 done. And it's Hennessy Murphy, Molly Hennessy Murphy, who leads them at the first 100. Again, this could be a tactical race, rather like the 400s. Go hard, try and hang on in the back half of the race, or conserve the energy. It's can be swimming both ways.
Yeah, just depends. I think a lot of the 800 freestyle swimmers, or the swimmers who swim the 800 freestyle, generally try to even split the middle section of the race as much as possible. So keeping those 50s consistent. There were 37s, 38s on that second 50, and we can see there at 150, 38.9 for Molly, 38.7 for Sorja, and 38.9 for Cueva. So all 3 of these girls splitting quite similar. And what's really going to be is who can keep that consistent and drops off the least as we progress through this 800.
Irene just using the legs for balance, really, not using them at all. This is the end of the race. You'll see that these swimmers will go to this 6-speed kick if they have it in the tank. This is the 200 meter mark. Under 2:30, 2:29.77. Hennessy Murphy, Nireen, and then Smith just starting to fall off a little.
And again there on that turn, you were able to see that the New Ross swimmer, Molly, was using 2 kicks, 3 kicks off the wall, which is really difficult to do in a long race like that, but that just shows that she's been working on that in training. She's been practicing that every time she does a turn in New Ross, and I'm sure the coaches there will be banging home the point that underwaters and skills pay the bills in swimming. So really impressive skills from the 14-year-old Molly Hennessy Murphy from New Ross through the early stages of this 800.
Yeah, there is a contrast there. Nireen's not using any of that, but above her, just expending perhaps a little bit more energy with using those dolphin kicks off the wall. This is the 300 mark now.
Nireen is pulling up level with the New Ross swimmer every time they swim the swimming section of the race, but it is the turns of the New Ross swimmer which are making a difference. But Nireen has touched first there at the 300 meter mark in 3:48.65 versus 3:48.89, but very tight between these two swimmers. But Nireen is just taking the lead now at this stage of the race.
That's a swimmer in entry time, so we'll be surprised if she's beaten in this one. The next of these heats, swimmers who are a lot quicker, all below the 10-minute mark. Sorka Nireen's entry time is 10 minutes 26.56, and in fairness to most of these swimmers now this morning and this afternoon, they've been going down below their entry time, which is good.
Just looking at the splits there, Nireen is splitting at 38 points, and she's been splitting 38s consistently through the first half of this race. Molly Hennessy Murphy was splitting 37s at the start of the race, and she's just splitting at 39 there, so that's why just shows that in a 400 meter, or in an 800 meter, sorry, the person who slows down the least and maintains that pace is often the person who's does the best. So Nireen doing a really good job of maintaining consistency of her splits there. Another 38 throughout this first half of this 800 freestyle.
Yeah, it's the first half of the race done and dusted. 5 minutes 6.19 for Nireen. Fairness, Hennessy Murphy's not letting her get away, and Quiva Smith has been dropped. I just get the feeling now that Nireen is just starting to pull away.
So consistent, Nireen. Another 38 points. She's been just hitting those 38s every single 50 from the first 100 onwards. So really, really good, solidly split race up to this stage by Nireen.
Now you can see in the background there's all new tiling and the National Aquatic Centre. They've done a really good job in upgrading the place. And let's talk about having an international meet here in the not too distant future. Representatives of Len were here in the not too distant past having a look at the facilities. That's the 500 metre turn now. 6:24.32.
Still really good swims from Molly Hennessy Murphy from New Ross. She's still going 2 kicks off the wall. She's clearly been working on that in training. And at an early age, having that focus on skills is so important, because they are the things that help you progress as you move through the age brackets. If you keep your skills high, your skill level high, your execution level high, and they're the things that really help you progress your PBs as you get older, as you get a little bit stronger, as you get a little bit more experienced.
You can see one of the coaches down the bottom of your screen there, urging their swimmer on. Looks like it's the Tala swim team coach, urging on Quiva Smith to bring her home. So now, having paced this race alongside Hennessy Murphy for the first 300 metres or so, it's now a considerable lead at the 500 metre mark of 7:42.22 for Sorcha Ní Rian. Hennessy Murphy in second place, but a long way back. And there's the Tallaght swimmer heading one way, and as the leader goes the other.
Yeah, it's always interesting when you're in one of the longer events like this. The field really does spread out, and it can sometimes be, especially if you're doing a short course, you can see people getting lapped, which is interesting, and it makes it really challenging for the swimmers to actually know where they are in relation to the rest of the field and who's keeping with them and who's dropped back. So a little bit harder to do in a long course, but short course, that definitely is something you see quite a lot. But Ní Rian is swimming really, really well here. Another 38 split, so consistent throughout this race, and I'm interested to see whether she'll have a little bit of a kick on this final 100. That last 50, she can go faster than a 38, like she's been splitting so consistently throughout this race.
She will have 100 to go then at the end of this. Banging in those 38s has broken the field. There goes the bell. Very close to that 9 minutes, just outside. She's going to be well inside her entry time based on this swim. 9 minutes flat, pretty much at the end of the 700. Her entry time at 10:26.56, so she's going to be well under that. A 13-year-old from Limerick, Sorcha Ní Rian, has 50 metres to go.
Another 38 split there for Ní Rian. Let's see now if she has a bit of a pickup. It looks like she has picked up her tempo of her rate. She's not gone to her legs just yet, but definitely the rate in her arms has increased. So let's see what she can do. There's no doubt she's going to win this race, and she's going to be well under her entry time. So it looks like it's been a really, really evenly split race from Ní Rian, and really impressive from the 13-year-old from Limerick.
Yeah, never really went to the legs, did she? It was all about arms. 10:14.99 is 12 seconds quicker than our entry time. And controlled that race well. She'll be happy with that. New PB for her. Ní Rian leads them home in this first heat. There's our second place swimmer finishing now, Molly Hennessy Murphy, and some way back finishing now will be Quiva Smith. It's just the two heats in this 800 free for girls 13 to 14. Heat 2 coming up shortly. So there's your 1, 2, 3. Ní Rian, Hennessy Murphy and Smith. 10:14.99 may be good enough. There's 8 swimmers in the next heat, and 5 of them at least are quicker than that. So she may be in a good position here to make a final, and probably should with that 10:14.99. And this is the second final heat then of the girls 13 to 14 800 metres freestyle, with Eva Rock of New Ross in lane number 1. Laura Potts of Templeogue is in 2. Aer Lingus have Jessica Purcell in 3. Claire Custer of Sundayswell in Cork is in 4. Fastest qualifier in 9:37.26. Ava Jones, Portmarnock, is in 5. Holly McInerney of Templeogue, second of the Templeogue swimmers, is in lane number 6. Larne, represented by Emily Hughes, in 7. And Trident Swimming Club, 14-year-old Grace Quinn, in lane number 8. 16 lengths of the pool, heat 2. Girls 13 to 14, 800 freestyle.
All of these girls, except for Emily Hughes in lane 7 from Larne, are 14-year 14 years of age, so they'll be racing each other to get that medal in this 800 freestyle time final.
And of course, it's my mistake there. Of course, there isn't a final for this. It is a heat declared winner, so it's all about the times. So if it was the fact that they could advance to a final, Sorkin Ream would certainly be in it, but it is heat declared. So this is the faster heat, and the fastest one in this will take the gold. Custer has the lead at the 150 mark of McInerney, Purcell, Jones and Potts. It's all pretty close though. 1.5 seconds separating the first 5.
It is very tight across these 5 girls at this early stage of this 800 freestyle. But Claire Custer in lane 4, the Sunday Wells swimmer, is looking really strong here, looking powerful in the water. Quite a high tempo for the 800 freestyle, but you sometimes see that with especially some of the American swimmers. You see Ledecky can have that higher tempo, higher rate when they're swimming these longer distance events. They don't use their legs that much, but it's all upper body dominated. But Claire Custer's looking really strong after 200 meters here.
Yeah, 221 contrasts with a 229 at the 200 mark from heat 1, considerably quicker. Custer is some 6 seconds quicker than the rest on entry time, and no surprise to see her take an early lead.
Custer is settled into a rhythm of 35 points through the last couple of 50s, so we keep an eye on that as we progress to the later 50s, whether she holds on to that 35 split, but she's doing a really good job at this stage.
We've got 2 more races to bring you after this. It's the boys 13 to 14 800 freestyle, and that'll wrap up this middle session before we're back here this evening at 5 o'clock for the last session. Looking forward to that. All finals, a couple of relays as well to wrap things up. Always a good way to do it. Plenty of excitement as the teams get involved from the clubs.
There's a really good race going on behind Claire Custer. She has maybe a 3-4 meter body lead at this stage, but behind her in lane 3 is the Aer Lingus swimmer Jessica Purcell, closely followed by Temple Oak swimmer Holly McKierney, and then Ava Jones from Portmarnock, with Laura Potts from Temple Oak not far behind either. So those 4 girls are really battling out for this silver medal, I guess, as it is a time final for these 14-year-olds at this stage. But it's all about Claire Custer, who seems to be pulling away every single 50 from the rest of these girls. She's still maintaining that high tempo, high rate, and being really powerful with each of those strokes as she turns at the halfway mark in a 4:45.17. That's a 36.10 split for her, so she's staying really consistent in around that 35 high, 36 low mark.
Irish senior record's been around for a long time. Gráinne Murphy said that in the 800 free at the European Championships in Budapest in August of 2010 when she took a silver medal. It's 8 minutes 25.04. That's a blisteringly quick time.
That's a world-class time right now, never mind. What year did you say that was, Joe?
2010.
Never mind back then. That's a really, really fast swim from Gráinne back then. Custer is still pulling away from the field here as we approach the 500 meter mark. Breathing every 2. She's got into her rhythm really early in this race and has just maintained consistency right the way through, and that's another 35.5 split. That's actually faster than she's been splitting. She's been in and around that 35 high mark, 36 low mark, so she's maybe just starting to apply the pressure on the rest of the fields a little bit as we go through with 500 meters. So there's
it's perhaps a little unfair for us as the junior swimmers, really, comparing that senior record of an 8:25 for Grania Murphy. So we'll have a look at the junior record in the 800 free, and lo and behold, it is Grania Murphy who holds that record. She set that back in 2009 of 8:36.63 seconds.
That is still a really, really fast time. 8:36 for a junior swimmer in the 800 freestyle is really competitive.
I'm assuming that Liam Custer is Claire Custer's brother. Liam holds the junior record in this event. He set that in earlier on this year, in fact.
Yeah, he set that here in April. He had a really, really good meet in April, and he was out at European Junior Championships not that long ago, and he is heading to European Seniors as well, so a busy summer from him, and his sister is following in his footsteps with this 800 freestyle here, swimming a really, really strong race.
This will be good enough for gold, as it is heat declared, no final. Fastest swimmer from the two heats wins gold. There's 150 to go. It's all about Custer and her own personal battle to beat her entry time of 9:37.26.
Yeah, and there's a really, really good race going on here for that silver and bronze medal positions in this race between Jessica Purcell from Aer Lingus, Ava Jones from Portmarnock, and Holly McInerney from Temple Oak. All three of these swimmers battling it out with 125 meters to go, but there's no doubt that Custer is the leader, and she's coming into the bell now with another 35 split. She's been so consistent throughout this race, really impressive swim, and it looks like she's picked it up another little bit here on this last 100 meters.
The bells in the background signal 100 to go. When they all peal together, it's deafening. But no last stand here for Claire Custer. Sorry about that pun. From Sunday's Well Swimming Club, who's dominated from the off. 9:37.26 her entry time, and should go well under that as they come down with 50 to go. The other swimmers are going the other way. It's the battle for silver and bronze is going on behind.
Yeah, a 34 split from Claire Custer there. She's flying it on this last 100. But so is Ava Jones, the Portmarnock swimmer, really technically swimming really well. Look at that high elbow catch. She's gone to her legs, got a strong kick, propelling her into that silver medal position ahead of Holly McInerney from Temple Oak.
Last five then. Custer wins and takes gold in 9:28.37. And that battle for second place has been won by Ava Jones of Portmarnock in 5. And the battle for bronze goes to... Whoa, that was close. Holly McInerney just pips Jessica Purcell by 3/100ths of a second. Purcell's 34.82 on that last 50, not quite enough to catch McInerney, but good last 50 as well from Ava Jones, quicker than the gold medalist. But Custer, good time for her, well underneath her PB, 9:28.37.
Strong swimming from all those girls under their entry times. Really tight finish for that bronze medal position. 0.03 between Holly McInerney and Jessica Purcell, with Holly McInerney just getting the touch, but Jessica Purcell was really driving hard on that last 50 with a 34.8 split.
So we're moving on then to our penultimate race of this middle session. It's the boys, 13 to 14, 800 meters freestyle. 2 heats to bring you. The girls below will be asked to leave the pool, to leave the way clear for the boys. And 7 swimmers in this opening heat, and we'll have the full complement of 10 in heat 2. Again, heat declared winners, so fastest time from all of these swimmers. 17 of them. 1, 2, 3 will be determined here. Heat declared, no final. Lane 1, Danilo Prokhorov. He's in lane number 1. He's from Trojan. Killian Cranny of Swim Belfast, the 13-year-old. In fact, they're all 13-year-olds in this. He's in 2. John Rada of Lurgan's in 3. Dylan Brady of Drogheda is in 4. Oscar Black, Lurgan in 5. Dara Finlayson of Glenalban is in 6. And then Conor Carroll of Kilkenny in lane 7. That's our second last race of the afternoon before the finals this evening. The boys 13 to 14, 800 freestyle.
There's not that much time separating the 3 swimmers in the middle lanes in 3, 4 and 5. Rada, Brady and Black from Lurgan, Drogheda and another Lurgan swimmer on their entry times, and those 3 swimmers along with Dara Finlayson from Glenalban are in the lead at this 100 metre stage. But it is Brady. No, it's Finlayson from Glenalban who actually led us through that 100 metre mark, and he is but now Dylan Brady from Drogheda is taking control of this race. He has about a body length lead as they approach the turn at the 150 metre mark.
Daniel Whiffen set the Irish record of the World Championships in this event of 7 minutes 52. But it is Liam Custer earlier on this year who holds the junior record of 8:06.17.
Yeah, that's a world-class swim. Obviously it's a world-class swim from Daniel Whiffen. It was in a world final. That was to qualify him for a world final, so obviously going to be a world-class swim, but 7:46 is fast swimming. But it is Dylan Brady who's still on the lead, turned in 2:25.27 versus Oscar Blacks from Lurgan, 2:26.26.
Yeah, it really is a full-on program here this week with 5 days of competition. We've had the first set of sessions in the morning, then we've had a mid-session, and then a final session. Just shows you how many swimmers are involved in this. This age group, of course, female 13s right through to 18 and over, and males from 13 to 19 and over as well. Heats run in the 10-lane format. One final in each age group, 100, 200 and 400 events, and the 50 freestyle. This is the 800 together with the 1500 timed finals and swim and heat sessions. And then the 50 back, 50 breast and 50 butterfly are for 15 and over and has one final. So we do have a 50 fly finals this evening, which is well good splash and dash, and then relays as well.
And it is Dylan Brady still turning in front at 300 metres. 38.22 split. All of these swimmers, the top 3 swimmers there, all splitting 38 points. So they're swimming quite consistently together at this stage, but it is Brady with the lead, about a body length up on Oscar Black from Lurgan.
I suppose we're just looking enviously on the swimmers in the water. I know they're working hard and swimming hard as well, because it's a very, very warm arena here in the last couple of days. And as the day progresses, it gets progressively warmer. It's very, very warm. for those who are here on comedy positions. And I know you're not going to have much sympathy for us, but it is a very warm afternoon outside and also here in the pool. So, as I say, we're looking enviously at those actually swimming in the water. Wouldn't mind jumping in ourselves just to cool off, perhaps.
For sure. I have a new appreciation for all the parents sitting up in the pool deck or in the stands. When you're swimming, you don't notice it because you're in and out of the water, so you don't notice it nearly as much.
They used to bring you to training sessions and sit in their cars and
yes,
up at pools and reading newspapers just to get through while you guys are swimming in the water.
Yeah, sleeping bags in the car, the whole works. They are the backbone of the swimming community. Wouldn't be possible without their support.
And we got to mention the volunteers here as well, haven't we? Those people who are standing at the side of the banks and volunteering their time to help on the bank and with the timing systems as well. It's all volunteers, and you can't run these events without them. So we must tip our hats to the Swim Ireland volunteers who've been here and busy all week.
100%. Again, when I was here in April, it's the first time I wasn't swimming. When you're racing, you're so focused on what you're doing, you don't see all of that work that goes on behind the scenes. So when I was here in a different capacity in April doing some commentating, I really appreciated all that goes on behind the scenes to get a meet like this up and running and to make sure it runs smoothly.
Well, especially at age group level, because there's so many swimmers involved. You can do it at senior level, and they've also had, obviously, events after COVID where they just picked the elite swimmers to swim in competitions. There wasn't that many, so it was rather easier to handle. But in age groups and summer nationals as well, it's obviously more difficult. But in fairness, it's been very metronomish. Anyway, let's go back to the action in the water. And it's lane 4 at the 500 metre mark. Dylan Brady in 6:17. Oscar Black in second place, 6:19. And Conor Carroll close to him in a 6:20. This is the first heat. It's a heat declared winner, so fastest swimmer will take the medal. It's the second last event of this mid-session. One more 800 to bring you after this.
There's a real battle going on here for the second place in this heat. Dylan Brady's out in front, but you have lane 7, Conor Carroll from Kilkenny, swimming really well. He's turning second in a 6:59.02, with Oscar Black turning in 6:59.13, and John Rada, also from Lurgan, turning 6:59.77. So those three swimmers are right there in a line, battling out for the second and third place spots in this heat. But no doubt about your leader, Dylan Brady, has about 2 body length lead as they approach 200 metres left to swim. The guys behind Brady are chipping away at his lead there. He split at 39 point there, whereas the 2 guys behind him splitting 38. So they're beginning to close the gap, but there's still a significant gap there. But Dylan Brady has not got all his own way as they approach 150 metres left to swim.
Dylan Brady was selected to attend phase 2 of the Swim Ireland Regional Skills Academy at the Irish Sports HQ. So he's obviously one to keep an eye on for the future. 865 swimmers from over 100 clubs competing over the 5 days here at the NAC. He's just starting to tie up a little bit here now. He's obviously decided to take the race out hard, and he may be paying the price.
Yeah.
Lane 7.
Conor Carroll.
Yeah, he's getting closer.
Really, really closing hard. You can see he's picked up his rate. He's gone to his feet early, and he is really closing the gap quickly between himself and Dylan Brady.
Not much between them now. Last 100, the bells peal. 8:59.5 with 100 to go.
It looks like Brady has answered the challenge of Carroll, because he's picked up his rate himself here, and he's stretching that lead out again after Carroll closed it down in the last 50.
Yeah, it still hasn't gone to the legs yet. Might see that in the last 50 for him. And in turn, Carroll's starting to drop back a little bit himself. Oscar Black coming through in lane 5. It's been a good controlled swim from Dylan Brady. Popped in a 36.5 there. Still really hasn't gone to the legs, just nice and controlled. 25 to go. There he goes.
Yeah. There you see that pickup right there with 20 to go. He's given it everything for the last 10, 15 meters here. Let's see if he gets his head down. 10 minutes, 0.0175, just outside that 10-minute mark. But that's a big improvement on his entry time. That's 20 seconds faster than his entry time for Dylan Brady. And a great swim from the Kilkenny swimmer, Conor Carroll, as well. 10:04.90. He was entered on a 10:36, so that's over 20-second improvement on his entry time. So fantastic swimming there.
The rest of the swimmers come through to complete that. And we got one more race to bring you here this afternoon on the Swim Ireland YouTube channel. The Irish Summer National Championships at the National Aquatic Centre. It's the second and final heat of the men's 800. Paddy Cudahy from Kilkenny is the fastest qualifier. He's under 9.5 minutes, so that's a good contrast between himself and Dylan Brady. Maybe a little bit disappointed didn't break the 10-minute mark, but anyway, 10 minutes 01.75 to win that opening heat. And this is where the medal should be decided, though. These are considerably quicker than that previous heat. And we've got 10 swimmers. Right across the pool from 0, Ben Coleman of Dolphin in 0. Ian Middleton of Glenalbyn alongside him. Quaylam Turner, Aer Lingus, goes in lane 2. Famous name. Alan Turner from Aer Lingus, coach there. Has been for many years, former Irish international. Luke Merrigan of Dolphin goes in 3. Fastest qualifier on entry time from Kilkenny is Paddy Cudahy. As I mentioned, he's under 9:30 for his entry time. So, overwhelming favourite. Daniel McAlinden of Lurgan in 5. Matthias Pickett of Ards in 6. Trojan Swimming Club have Kiel Loudon in 7. Vincent Kobzinski of Sunday's Well Swimming Club is in lane 8. And Donica Leanne of Dolphin in lane number 9, and he's actually gone off pretty quick. Has Leanne in lane 9, and he's leading at the first 100. Trying to make a name for himself on the 100 from the outside lane, and also lane 1 is Ian Middleton. So the two outside smokers going up very fast, and that just could have been, I think, for Donica Leanne, a run at 100. I think he time trialed himself. Yeah,
you have to be really, really careful on the first 100 of an 800 freestyle. If you go too hard, there's a long way to go if you've started to produce that lactic acid early, so you always have to be careful on that first 100. I was looking at Ian Middleton there. He's swimming with a really high rate down that first 100. He has slightly slowed down the rate now, but he is still the leader. He's got quite a lopey stroke. It's almost like an open water freestyle stroke, as opposed to what you would traditionally see in the pool swimming. But as I mentioned earlier, some of the distance swimmers swim like that. Paltrineri is known for swimming like that, but under the water he has such a strong catch, such great positions under the water, that it doesn't necessarily matter what it looks like over the water. But Ian Middleton is still your leader at 200 metre mark, but Paddy Cudahy from Kilkenny is coming through now in lane 4. And he has the fastest entry time significantly in a 9:29, so expect to see him continue to move up through the field as this race progresses.
I think he's been watching Malui, hasn't he? The Tunisian, he actually swims like that too, doesn't he? It's just that kind of loping, as you mentioned, open water swim stroke. You got to keep an eye on people around you as well, so that's the reason why they swim that as well. If you're in a lane, you can swim your own race, but it's just a big contrast between Middleton and Cudahy who's starting to come through now, because he's got that loping kind of stroke where Cudahy is more, I suppose, orthodox.
Yeah, he is more orthodox. You can see he's got that high elbow stretching out in front, whereas Middleton is loping around, is almost coming around through the stroke as opposed to over the top of the water. And he's just using his kick to balance out his stroke. He's not using his legs at all. It's an upper body dominated stroke from Middleton. Whereas Paddy Cudahy is using his legs a little bit more, but it's all about efficiency for Cudahy. He's just stretching out in front, using that high elbow, getting into good catch positions. Whereas Middleton, when you swim like that lopey stroke, you have to swim at a higher rate. You have to keep that tempo up because the stroke doesn't have that natural efficiency.
Yeah, it's a much more efficient stroke from our leader now, Cudahy. You can see it. He's lower in the water too, and just using his legs for balance. There's no leg movement at all from our second place man, Middleton. It's just that lopey kind of stroke, as we've mentioned. It pulls his body out of the water, really. And still brings the arms down towards the hips and pulls them through. But it's not as efficient as our leader.
Saying that, Cudahy has quite a high tempo as well. He's getting into good technical positions out at the front of his stroke, but he's still swimming quite a high tempo. He's not gone to his legs at all really yet, but I imagine he has the capabilities of doing that in the later stages of this race.
We're at the midway point then, our last race of the afternoon session, and it's Cudahy on his way to the gold medal here. Middleton in second place, and behind them there's a good battle going on for third between Luke Merrigan and Loudon of the Trojan Swimming Club. There's less than half a second between them, and the way the opening heat has gone, that's the battle for the bronze. Yeah, you can see them there, centre your shot. Cudahy away, Middleton in second place, but Loudon and Merrigan in their own private duel for that bronze medal.
Yeah, I think Middleton in lane one is going to have to watch it, because I think these two boys, although there's a significant gap between them just yet, I think they're closing that down, and we'll be looking at Middleton as we've got 325 metres left to swim at this 800.
Don't forget the European Long Course Championships starting in August is live on RTE News Channel. We're bringing you all the heats, all the finals. Hope you can join myself and Andrew Bree for that in a couple of weeks' time. And we're just wrapping up the session on the mid-session on this, the final day of competition at the Irish Summer National Championships here on the Swim Ireland YouTube channel. And the final race of the mid-session with Paddy Cudahy of Kilkenny on his way to gold here. Middleton in second, and Trojan swimmer Keil Loudon now just eased ahead of Merrigan in the battle for bronze.
Cudahy's been splitting 35s consistently over the last couple of 50s, so he's swimming a really, really solid race here. But there is a bit of a battle emerging between Middleton in lane one, who's trying to hold off the charging Trojan swimmer Loudon. With 200 metres to go, there's about a body length gap, but the Trojan swimmer is closing that down every single 50. But there's no doubt that Paddy Cudahy from Kilkenny is the leader as he swims down to the 625 metre mark. Cudahy just having a look up there to look at the boards. You can see at the end of the pool there's boards that have the number of lengths left. They're just coming onto the screen now. So Cudahy was just having a little look up to make sure he knew where he was in this race, to make sure that, oh yeah, I've got 150 metres left to go, to know when. So I expect to see a little bit of a kick from him on this last 100 metres when he gets there.
Paddy Cudahy has had a busy year. Himself and Brogan McAvinny, members of the Kieran swim team. 14 medals between them, 12 gold and 2 silver in the recent Leinster long course swim meet. And he's on to another medal here at standard, which of course is higher. Last 100 then, as the bells go off for Paddy Cudahy. Can he go inside his PB? An entry time of 9:29.94. And indeed, can Middleton hang on to silver?
Yeah, the early race leader, Middleton, he was out well in front over the first 200 metres, but he's been brought back now. Cuddy's obviously overtaken him, and the Trojan swimmer Loudon is doing his best, but Middleton is answering here and is trying to kick back on this last 100 metres.
50 to go then in our last race of this session, and Paddy Cudahy on his way to the gold medal in the men's 800, or the boys 800 free for 13 to 14 year olds. He's only 14 from Kilkenny, and hopefully a good future ahead of him. 25 metres to go. He's got the race in his pocket. Previous heat time was at 10:01.75. He's going to be well inside that. He's also looks like he's going to be well inside his entry time as well. Yeah, a good swim. And a good last 50 as well. Spotted at 33.6 to bring it home in 9:24.12. Here's the battle for silver. And it's gone to Middleton. They hung on. Loudon in third place. That's the 1, 2, 3. And that's the gold, silver, bronze as well.
Really, really strongly swam a race from the Kilkenny man there. He kept those splits really consistent right throughout the race and still had enough there to kick and finish in a 33 point. Middleton, who was the early leader, he dropped back in the middle of the race but still had a little bit of a kick to hold off the charging Loudon from Trojan at the end, and that will be your medalist there, Cudahy, Middleton and Loudon. So good swimming from all of those boys, and they're all faster than their entry times.
Okay, thank you, Nick. We have one more session to bring you, and that's at 5 o'clock this evening. Hope you enjoyed that middle session, and we shall move on to the final session this evening, which is just before 5 o'clock. And just to tell you what we've got in that final session, we've got the 5 o'clock start, male 200 IM, the women's 400 IM. Then we got the 2 butterfly events, male and women, and then the relays to wrap up the session. Thanks to Nick. I'm John Kenny. Till just before 5 o'clock here on the Swim Ireland YouTube channel. It's bye for now.